What's going on, man? What's your name?
Alex, I also go by Hammy the Hat Maker.
Hammy the Hat Maker. Tell me a little bit about how you got into the NFT world.
So COVID happened and everything was shut down, so I started gaming, I think like everybody else. And a bunch of people I was playing games with were minting these things called Bored Apes. And I was like, cool, they showed me a little bit about it. I didn't really jump on that ship, but then I started seeing it gain traction, and then I was like, holy shit, I could actually jump into this. So instead of collecting, I was like, I actually want to create my own collection. So I started going down the rabbit hole, and eventually I made my own collection, and it happened. And then NFT LA came along, and that's where I met Thomas, like you heard. Then he brought me on, but pretty much I just got involved by studying how it all works and creating my own collection.
Cool. And then what's your collection called?
Milliner.
Milliner Hat Co.
Yeah. So Milliner means hat maker, essentially. So I just named it Milliner.
Very cool.
It's just accessories for profile pictures.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so, like with where you're going from, the Milliners are on ETH.
Yeah.
Right.
They're on Ethereum. They're 0.03 Ethereum. I think it's a perfect starting point and entry point for new people coming into the space. Aside from the gas fees, that's where hopefully ETH 2.0 will come. But they announced that like years ago, it still hasn't happened. So Radix is the next best thing. So yeah.
So while making an NFT project, what are some like stumbling blocks you've come across that maybe you didn't anticipate, but then you gained a greater appreciation for this space?
So I said this earlier today while we were getting breakfast, but there is a barrier to entry. Like you have to know how a little bit of the coding works. The engine part, like the randomization, knowing how to take your art assets and randomize it. Or you could just do like one of ones, or maybe you work for a couple months on like a collection of 50 or 100. Those are hurdles I had to overcome. I had to figure out, like, I do want to do a larger collection, but how do I do that, right? So I had to figure out what resources there were. And luckily there's some really amazingly smart people out there that, they give those resources out for free. And it's just up to you to like find them and take advantage. So that's what I did. Pretty much in the NFT space, everything is self-taught. Nobody knows 100% how to do everything. That's the cool thing about being early, is it's all a learning process for everyone. Literally, you can go to any meetup or event and you will learn something new. So that's like the hurdle, like knowing what works for you and executing it, essentially.
And so what are the tools that you use to create your own NFTs, and maybe the images, and then once you start putting your collection on, you used OpenSea, it was, right?
Yeah, I use OpenSea. That's the marketplace.
Yeah, maybe so. Someone who's made a collection, what are some of the tools you used, and then talk people through, like, once you created the images, you had your collection. What's the process of now trying to sell these things?
So I had a little background in Photoshop, so I decided to just run head on into the wind with that. And as I worked through it, I made some things and I decided that the quality was up to par, so I deleted it and started over. But that's just like what you have to do until you find that momentum to get going. But I'm going to branch off a little bit. It doesn't have to be Photoshop. It can be like whatever you want to use. And there's also there's a space for musicians too, if you want to do music. If you want to release your movie that you edited on Premiere or DaVinci or whatever, you could always do that. But for me personally, I use Photoshop. So just learning how the layering process works, how to organize all your work, how to export all your work, and knowing how to organize that for the open source art engine, which actually generates all the images. Just knowing how that process works, it takes a little bit of studying, but eventually you'll get it down.
Okay, and then now you've made your collection, and then are there, like, do you have to like say get accredited to get on OpenSea, or what does the process become to now mint your project?
So to mint your project, You host it on a thing called IPFS. Pinata is what it's called. Pinata Cloud. So after you generate your images, you actually upload that to the cloud, and it's given a integer, like a DNA, to every single image in your collection, and you create a smart contract. And when you deploy that smart contract and you attach it to something like a minting site, and when somebody buys from your minting site, minting means essentially like you're creating that image. It's actually not created, it's hosted on a server, but when somebody presses mint, it pulls from that server, and they now own that random NFT from your collection, and then that translates to OpenSea or whatever you use. It could be Immutable X, it could be Magic Eden. Is it Magic Eden?
On Solana.
Yeah, on Solana. Whatever it may be, when they mint it, it's then viewable on OpenSea and MetaMask or whatever wallet you use. So that's how that process works. But there's another thing like smart contracts. That's a whole different beast. That's another thing that I had to learn, which was crazy. But yeah.
What was your favorite thing about making your project?
The art outlet, definitely.
What was that?
Just being able to express yourself in whatever ways that you want. So another reason why I got into this was because I saw an oversaturation in profile picture projects. I mean, we can all agree there's a lot of them, like a lot. So I tried to, see what could I do differently, how could I like assert myself in this market, and I thought, profile picture hats, like accessories. It still hasn't gained traction, but I do think there's a market for it. I do think it's going to be a thing. You see Adidas with shoes, metaverse character accessories, things like that. But nobody's quite doing profile picture specific accessories. And the cool thing too is like my future collections will be translatable into the metaverse, whether it be sandbox, video game, or my own game.
Tell us about your new game. I just saw it. What's it called, and what are your visions for it?
It's called Underland, and it's a 2D top-down game. Discord notification. It's a 2D top-down game, like Among Us. You're gonna do events, and you're gonna chat with people, and just socialize with other holders. And that's another thing. Only holders get access to it, and it's gonna be on Steam, which is really cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What is Steam?
Steam is a marketplace, so it's a gaming marketplace, much like OpenSea, but for video games, not NFTs, but
It's probably soon NFTs.
yeah, maybe if it gains traction.
Yeah,
Gamers are hesitant on NFTs, but that's the cool thing is there's a lot of gamers in the NFT space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, go for it.
Why are gamers hesitant on NFTs? Aren't skins just kind of a Web 2 version of NFTs? Like, why would they be hesitant?
Yeah, so the thing is we're not stupid. That's the thing too, is a lot of creators treat their audience like they're dumb. They try to like dumb down whatever they're putting out. But it's important that you don't, because like I think gamers, like you kind of see through the veil. So when big companies try to jump on the NFT train, we know it's just a fucking quick cash grab, right? So that's why people are hesitant, because they know that they went so long with content they buy they don't actually own. Used to be able to go to GameStop on midnight releases and stand in line with your buddies, and you would have a physical copy of like Halo 3. You don't really do that anymore. Everything's digital. So when you open up your gaming library and you see our games, do you actually own them? Like there's nothing tangible there. So as far as the future with NFTs and gaming, I think being able to tangibly see assets in your wallet, being able to take those assets and put them onto your like ledger or whatever, cold storage, and be able to see them, I think that's the future. And I think being able to translate that, it's going to be a hurdle, but I definitely think it's going to be viable. Much like what Thomas and Rob was talking about earlier, having like cross compatibility, eventually all blockchains, I do believe this, all blockchains, all everything are going to come together, and it's going to be interchangeable. And especially with gaming, I think that's going to be huge. I mean, imagine you go to a hub and half your buddies, you see your buddies in this hub, but there's a room for like Madden and then like Call of Duty or like whatever. You know, I think that that's definitely going to be a thing. But to go back, being able to see those assets and like actually own them, I think that's the future, and that's why NFTs are important for gaming, especially.
And as an artist, like once you can create something, because there's so much free art these days, right? With pirating and, you know, say social media, this gives someone like you the chance to actually profit.
Yeah.
Right? And but
exactly.
but you should profit, right? You create something and then it helps you create something else. Like so if you create, say, Milliner Hack or Buff Wild, right, and you make a profit, what do you see from that first collection? What can you do down the line? Like, what do you have visions of where you want to go?
Yeah, I do. So my pretty much my first thing was I want to get this collection off the ground and I want to sell out just like everyone else. But you turn and you put that money back into your own business, and that's how you really make money. And you try to figure out how to add utility, because that's going to add value to your art. Art is great. It's very appreciative, and it's important that you do have that mindset that if you do go into a project and you support a project, doing it just for the art is perfectly fine, right? It doesn't need, there doesn't need to be anything else with that. Appreciating the art is perfectly fine. But as far as creators go, adding that utility is important, and continually adding that utility as you go on and you build your business is something that I think not a lot of creators think about. So thinking of ways to broaden your reach, like for me personally, hat accessories were great, but creating a game, partnerships potentially, you never know where that can go. So I don't even know if I answered the question correctly.
Okay,
maybe
so
you could chop it up. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
So this is a raw interview,
Okay,
baby.
cool.
And then so last question here. So if you were to give a young person advice that's, you know, you've made a collection, you're technically already on to your second, right? You're part of a second squad here. Someone, you know, you're going to take them under your wing as a mentor. What are the first 1, 2, 3 things that they should consider? They're a brilliant artist, but they want to get in this space. What are the first couple things they should consider? And then boom, they should go for it. What would you recommend?
Get out of the house. Get your ass out of the house and go meet people. Your art is great, but you need relationships or your art will go nowhere. You need to go meet people. I think developing relationships, so when I first moved to LA, I heard this a million fucking times before it actually lived in me. It's about who you know, not what you know. And I believe that with everything. If you develop the relationships and you go meet people, go find events wherever you are. If you ever come to LA and you want to meet us, fucking I would love to. Like, just meeting people is the most important thing I would have to say, like going out and socializing, because you can bring your skills to those people. If you're just staying inside developing your skills, there's only so much you can do through Discord and social media. The face-to-face interaction is where you're going to have the biggest impact, because you can see someone's soul through their eyes, you can feel their heart, you can feel their passion. I would say Web3 is all about technology, but the relationships you build in Web3, that is what makes Web3 the best thing since fucking sliced bread, or since the emergence of the internet. It is, the socializing aspect of Web3 is insane. I've never experienced, even in sports, I've yet to experience anything like this. So I would say that's the most important thing, and I don't even have 2 other points because I just want to put so much emphasis on that. Yeah.
Network your ass off.
Yeah, network your fucking ass off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.